All right, you like them?
All right, clap it up. Okay, we are the Isupk, started out 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under the command of General Johanna. We teach that blacks, Hispanics, and native Indians are the true Hebrew Israelites of the Bible, God's chosen people. Okay, tonight's class is a little different tonight, because tonight this is the Feast of Purim. Let's give it up for the Feast of Purim. Okay, this is the Feast of Purim, and tonight's class, we're going to go into what the Feast of Purim is all about, according to our records. This is a memorial. Okay, so this is not a law kept feast day. This is a memorial. And when we think about the Feast of Purim, it's a story of a sister named Esther. Okay? An Israelite who lived in the era of King Ahasuerus, who was an ancient colonizer of nations. He was a Persian, and he colonized down near most of the Middle East, from Ethiopia to Shushan. And we're going to hear a story tonight of Esther, who was a virtuous woman. Okay, so time and time again, we hear about our people, a lot of the sisters as well, denouncing the Bible, our records. Okay, it's misogynistic, and it's written for men, it's not for women. But when you really deep it, when you understand our records, Esther is a perfect story to be read by our sisters, especially the young sisters just coming into the truth, because Esther was a virtuous woman. If you want to know how to be a virtuous woman, a righteous woman, you will read the story of Esther. Okay, Esther made a sacrifice for her people. Esther was a woman that gave up her own needs and her own flesh and lust for a higher power, for a divine reason. She got herself in a place where she did things for others. Now, that resonates with, you can say that similar to what Christ done, not on that scale, of course, but she did save an entire people. She saved the Jews, the 12 tribes of Israel, the Israelites. And we're going to look into the book of Esther today. And if any of our young sisters want to know how they should be conducting themselves, how they should be behaving, they will read the story of Esther. It's in the Tanakh, the Old Testament, the Dead Sea Scrolls, whatever you call it. The heathen and the oppressor, calls our records the Bible. We call it our history book, our records, a book of law, a book of war, and a book of righteousness, because the people that wrote this book were ordained to give us an everlasting memory of who we are and who we are supposed to be, how we are to conduct ourselves, how we are to behave, and how we are to treat our one another. True brotherhood and true sisterhood. And we're going to learn tonight that Esther was a true sister. Let's start at Esther 1:1, Baba Kashar. When you're ready, read that, Officer Moser. Salaki, can someone get the door? Other one, there's somebody at the door. Moza, come back. Esther 1:1, read that, Officer Moza. Other one. Have we got a mic for Officer Moza?
Should hear him through that.
Okay.
Well done. The book of Esther 1:1.
Nice and clear, nice and loud.
Now it came to pass in the days of Abraham. In the days
Azorius. Azorius.
Azarius.
No, Azorius. Azorius.
Azarius. This is Azorius, which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia.
Okay, so King Azorius was a Persian. He reigned from India to Ethiopia. Okay, he ruled over many lands. He was a colonizer. He was a Persian, which is an Elamite, an ancient Elamite, what we call today Pakistan, Afghanistan, Indian. Read.
Over 107 and 20 province.
Okay. So I can read that again, Bob. Sure.
Over 107 and 20 province.
Over 107 and 20 province. Okay, so this is ancient Arania, the Persians, from Iran to Sushan, from Ethiopia to India. He ruled all these lands. How many provinces?
120. Sorry, 107 and 20 provinces.
107 and 20 provinces. Read on.
That in those days, when the king Azarius sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan, the palace.
Okay, and where is Shushan? Does anybody know? I just mentioned it. I said from Shushan to somewhere, but Shushan is the actual place where his palace was and where he came from. Does anybody know what ancient Shushan was, what we'd call it today? I'll give you a clue. The Persians lived in Shushan. The Persians came from Shushan. What would we call Shushan today? Iran. Correct. Read on.
In the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants.
Okay, so he threw a party in his 3rd year of rulership. He threw a party, a feast. Read.
The power of Persia and Mede, the noble and prince of the province, being before him.
And he threw this party, he threw this feast. And obviously it's a fake feast day. It's not one of our feast days recorded in our records. Okay, he threw it for his princes and his servants. Verse 4, Baba Kashar.
Verse 4, when he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty.
Okay, so he had all his riches on show. He had all his riches on show. He was a boozy king. Read.
Many days, even 180 days.
Verse 5.
Verse 5. And when those days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present
okay,
in Shushan.
So this is the next feast in Iran, in Persia, in Shushan. Okay, so then he made the next feast for the people that resided in his province. Read on.
The place in the palace, both unto great and small, even days in the court of the garden of the king's palace. Verse 6.
Well, hold on. Verse 5. Then he made the next feast day for the people that resided in his provinces. Okay, so we will get this. Read verse 6, Baba Kashar.
Where? White, green, and blue, hanging, fastened with cord of fine linen.
Okay, fine linen. This is the best of the best, creme de la creme. The decorations for the feast, green, white, and what?
Green, white, cord, fine linen, and pure and purple of silver, rings and pillars of marbles.
Okay, and we all know that marble's not cheap. Marble is one of the most expensive stones you can get. Okay, they plaster it up. They make it into coffee tables nowadays. It's real heavy material. They glaze it and varnish it so it looks shiny. You know, that shiny stone. So you know that King Azorius is going all out for this feast. He's got all his riches on show. Is in himself. Read on.
The beds were of gold and silver upon a pavement of red and blue and white and black marble.
Khan, verse 7.
Verse 7. And they gave them drink in vessels of gold.
In vessels of what?
Gold.
In vessels of what?
Gold.
Okay, the king's a baller. This king's a baller. He's a heavy roller. He's a heavy hitter. He's doing what, Moses?
Verse 7. And they gave them drink in vessels of gold.
So his guests, his servants, his princes, they were served with, what are they, goblins? Vessels of gold, what they're drinking out of. Solid gold. And this ain't the 9-carat gold and the 18-carat gold you see today, these Edomites producing. This is 24-carat solid gold. Indian gold, so-called Indian gold. The Persians were using these at their parties, at their feasts.
Yeah.
Read on, Baba Kasha.
Vessels of gold. According to those vessels of gold, the vessels being diverse one from another, and royal wines in abundance according to the state of the king.
Okay, so the king was a baller. King Azorius was a baller. Gold vessels to drink out of. Read.
Verse 8. And the drinking was according to the law. None did compel. For so the king had appointed all the officers of his house that they should do according to every man's pleasure.
And let's not forget, yeah, this is their law. This isn't the law out of our records. This isn't a lawful law for the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, we're scattered amongst these people and we're living in many of their provinces. Okay, but let's not forget, we have our law. We have a law in our records, 613 laws. This is the king's own. These are his own. These are his own made-up rules and regulations and laws that he has within his palace and in his lands and in his provinces. Let's not forget, he's a glorified colonizer, and we know we're familiar with colonizers because we ourselves, as so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, were colonized by who? Who were we colonized by? The oppressor, the so-called white man, the seed of Esau. Read on, Musa, Baba Kisha.
Verse 9.
No. Use verse 8. Read verse 8 again, Baba Kisha.
Verse 8. And the drinking was according to the law.
Okay, so it was one of Asaurus's, the king's laws, that everybody drank. So imagine if you wasn't a drinker. Do you think you'd be invited? This was a law. Now, there's no law in our records. You won't find any law in the Bible that says you have to drink, you must drink. We drink on the feast days when we come together, not to get drunk, not to act out of order, indecently. We drink because in the spirit of brotherhood and sisterhood. We get merry, we have a good time, we hold a Sabbath service, and then we feast. We eat and we get down. And when we get down, we sip a little wine. And that's how we get down. That's how as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians get down. But it's not a law. It's not lawful that you must drink or you must get drunk. In fact, there is a law that you shouldn't defile your temple. You shouldn't be getting drunk and acting disorderly or out of order like these people, these heathen nations do today. Read on.
None did compel, for so the king had appointed to all the officers of his house that they should do according to every man's pleasure.
Okay, so this was our law, not the law of the Most High. The king accommodating his guests, how he sees fit, how he's recorded or written his law. This is King Azorius. Let's bear that in mind. Verse 9, Baba Kashar.
Verse 9. Also Vashti,
Also who?
Vashti,
Read on.
the queen made a feast for the woman in the royal house, which belonged to King Azorius.
Okay, so this is the king's rib. This is his wife, Queen Vashti. And already we're going to learn about this character, this heathen. Okay, she's not an Israelite. She's not one of us. She's not a sister. But already she's making a party separate to the kings, just for the women. You wouldn't find that in the Isupk. You wouldn't find the sisters having a private party. And we have barbecues. Sisters have barbecues all the time. Have personal events at the house. I'm sure all the brothers are always invited, and it's not just a sister event, unless it's for something specifically for the sisters. Okay, this was an event that Vashti has brought about just for the women. Okay, so we're already starting to build a little character of this woman. Toward the other one. Read on.
Verse 10.
No. Verse 9. You still up here, verse 10. Hold on. Yeah, read verse 9 again, Baba Kashar.
9. Also Vashti, the queen, made a feast for the woman in the royal house, which belongs to King Ahasuerus.
Okay, in his house, and she made a separate celebration, a separate feast just for the women. Verse 10, Baba Kashar.
Verse 10. On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mahuman, Bastia, Harbona, Bigatha, and Abagatha.
Okay, don't worry about the names. Hold it right there. So these are the chamberlains and female servants. What's a chamberlain? A chamberlain is a worker. It could be a gateman or a doorman or a bouncer or security of the palace. It could be a maiden, one of the young virgins, a servant within the palace. These are chamberlains. They're workers of the king. They're not owned by Vashti. They work for the king, Azorius. Read.
Zatar and Karkas, the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king.
How many?
7.
The 7. These are his 7 personal chamberlains, his 7 personal workers. Read.
11. To bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal, to show the people and the prince her beauty, for she was fair to look upon. Okay, and we all know what fair means. Okay, fair is not what we're taught today in this modern world, in modern society. Fair being light skin, very, very the opposite to dark. Okay, that's not what fair is in the Bible. Fair in the Bible was a very beautiful woman. That's what fair means in the Bible. Beauty beyond. Read that again, Baba Kashar. Verse 11. To bring Vashti the queens before the king with the crown royal.
Why before the king? The king wanted to floss his rib. He knew he had a beautiful wife. He knew he had a beautiful queen. She was fair. She was beautiful. He wanted to floss her and show her off to all the guests in the palace. Read.
To show the people and the princes her beauty, for she was fair to look upon.
She was nice to look at.
She was fair to look upon.
She was nice to look at. Read.
Verse 12. But the queen Vashti refused to come.
Okay, she did what?
Refused to come.
Okay, so this is the king. He summoned his wife And he wants to show off her beauty to his guests, her radiance, her aura, her swag. What does this queen do? This so-called queen? And you know she's not a sister. How do we know she's not a sister? How do we know that Vashti is not one of our sisters? Well, do we have queens in Israel, sis? No such thing as a queen in our records. They've named her a queen, and he's a Persian. You can bet your bottom dollar she's a Persian, or she's one of the heathen nations. She's not an Israelite. She's not a sister. There's no mention of queens. We don't have queens. The best you can bet for a sister in Israel is a princess. There is no such thing as a queen in Israel. We do not have queens. Read on.
At the queen's commandment by his chamberlains, therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him. Verse 13.
No, read 12 again, Bob Bishop.
Verse 12. But the queen Vashti refused to come at the queen's commandment, at the king's commandment, by his chamberlains. Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him.
Okay, so she refused to come to the king, and the king was what? He was pissed. The king was pissed. He was fuming, livid. Verse 13.
Verse 13. Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the time, for so was the king's manner.
And who were the wise men? Who were the wise men that this story refers to? These are the king's advisors. These were the wise men. You wouldn't want an advisor who was an apprentice. You wouldn't want an advisor who was young and green and didn't know the ropes. His advisors were wise men, and that's what these were. These were wise men. Read.
For so was the king's manner towards all that knew the law and judgment.
Okay, so the king said to his advisors, who were wise men, he's summoned them. And why is he summoning them? He wants to ask them about what he should do about this woman, this rebellious woman, okay, who's building a character about Vashti. And this is, we said in the beginning, okay, if we want our sisters to know and understand and grasp how they should be behaving and conducting themselves, to look at the life and the lifestyle of Esther and read the book of Esther. But the mention alone of Vashti, this heathen woman, this is a perfect example of how our sisters should not behave and conduct themselves. Like a Beyonce or a Rihanna, or who else, Mozart? Nicki Minaj. You know them sisters that are me women, all about me, myself, and I. What can the world do for me? What can the world give me? They don't come out unless they're swagged and blinged up and flossing. They put no trust in the Most High God. They have no idea of who they are. Who's raised in the church, like the majority of us, and they believe in the nonsense that they've been taught. And now they've turned into wicked ass demons. They leave childhood, embrace adulthood, and they turned into wicked ass demons. You can hear it in some of their tracks, in some of their behavior in the media. I listened to an interview with Nicki Minaj on TV a few weeks ago, and I was left gasping. I was thinking, my God, thank God I don't know a sister like this. She's evil as hell, and she's so self-absorbed and all about herself. Do you know what I mean, Mozart? She hasn't got a humble bone in her body, not a single humble bone in her body. Where we at, Moses? Verse 14. Read on, Baba Kashar.
Verse 14. And the next unto him was Tarshan, Shetar.
Okay. Jump down to verse 15. Drop the names. Jump
Verse
down to verse
15.
15, Baba Kashar.
What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to the law?
Okay, so here King Azorius is asking his advisors, the wise men, for advice. What should we do about Queen Vashti's attitude? What should we do about her rebellious nature? What should we do with her? Read.
Because she had not performed the commandment of the king.
She has what?
She had not performed the commandment of the king Ashur.
And number one rule for a sister: you do not if you've got honor about you, you don't disobey your husband. This is a law. This is a law to honor your husband. Just as a children, there's a law that says the children must honor their parents. A sister must honor her husband, not defy him, and not defy him in front of a nation of people. That's the worst thing a sister could ever do. And like we said, if the sisters that want to know how to be a virtuous woman, how to be a righteous sister, then read the book of Esther. Because not only will you learn how to be a virtuous woman through the actions of Esther and the story and the lifestyle of Esther, you will learn how not to be through this Queen Vashti, this heathen. Let's read on, Moses. What verse we at? Verse 15.
By the chamberlains, verse 16.
Hold on. Verse 15, yeah? Okay, so he's asking his advisors, how should he deal with Vashti? How should he deal with this rebellious woman? Verse 16, Baba Kishore.
Verse 16. And Memucan answered before the king.
And who?
And Memucan answered before the king and the prince.
So who is Memucan? One of his advisors. Read on.
Vashti, the queen, had not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes and to all the people that are in the province.
And there you have it. That's what we're touching on. She's not only being disrespectful to her husband, but she's doing it in front of an entire nation and many nations. How many? 107 and 20. Okay, so that's a lot. That's a lot of provinces. That's a hell of a lot of nations and a hell of a lot of women that are being influenced by this rebellious woman who will not answer to her king. Her king's called her, her husband's called her, summoned her, and she said, no, I don't feel like coming. I've got to get my nails done today. I've got to get a pedicure, a manicure. I've got to get my hair done. I ain't got time to go and see my husband. This is exactly how a sister should not behave. This is exactly how a sister should be aware of. So the sisters are learning in the book of Esther how to be a virtuous woman. And this heathen Vashti is anything but. You can see that demonic spirit on her already. Read on.
Verse 17. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husband in their eyes. When it shall be reported, the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti, the queen, to be brought before him, but she come not.
There you go. She come not. So this rebellious attitude, it will influence other women. It's a knock-on effect. It's what we call a domino effect. Okay, so one domino hits the next domino, it's the next domino. Before you know, all the dominoes are laid out flat. And that's the effect Vashti's having on these women in the provinces. And let's not forget, some of these women in these lands are sisters. Okay, we've been colonized by a king. This king was one of the major colonizers. He was the biggest colonizer of his time, a Persian colonizer. And he had many, many lands, many, many provinces. And this sister of this Salakia, she's not a sister. This Vashti, this heathen woman, the king's wife, she was of a rebellious nature. She thought she was bigger than her boots. She was too big for her boots. Read on.
Verse 18. Likewise, all the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes, which have heard of the deed of the queen.
Okay, and let's be honest. None of us like her. None of us brothers like a rebellious woman. None of us want to end up with a rebellious woman. Read on.
Thou shalt there arise unto much contempt and wrath. Verse 19.
And what?
Contempt
and
wrath.
Okay, so what does a rebellious woman bring about? What spirit does she bring about? In a room, an aura? A rebellious woman, what does she bring to the table? She disrupts the harmony of the home.
Right.
She disrupts the harmony of the family home. The next minute, the children see the wife being rebellious, not doing her deeds, not behaving like how she's supposed to behave, in and out of the family home. The next minute, the children have got all the lip. The next minute, the kids are rebellious. They're turning against the father. They're turning against our records. They're turning against the Most High God. Where do our kids end up? In Rastafarianism, in that Christian church, in the Islamic mosque, learning a lot of nonsense they're not supposed to be learning. Read on.
Verse 19. If it please the king.
If it do what?
If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persian and Mede.
Okay, and remember, this is not a law. This is not our law. This is a law of the king. This is the law of colonizer, a heathen. Okay, and let's not forget. Okay, the Bible says a righteous woman is a virtuous woman. Let's remember that. The Bible says a righteous woman is virtuous. What does virtuous mean? Humble, respectful, honor, honoring your children.
Virtuous is to have skills and be able to do something.
Can't. The water. Yeah, so a virtuous woman has many aspects to her character that is supposed to build up for the younger sisters to look at and to build their character off of that. But most of all, a virtuous woman is right, which means she's righteous. You got something, Moser?
I was just going to say, virtuous means to be productive and to be respectful.
Go on. Okay, so the Bible says a righteous woman is a virtuous one. Imagine being married to a Nicki Minaj. Can you imagine? Can you imagine arguing, cussing every 5 minutes, wanting to always be in charge and wear the trousers? A woman like this brings about confusion. That's what a rebellious woman brings about, confusion, especially in the family home. We don't tolerate that in Israel. We won't tolerate confusion in the family home and the Isupk under the command of General Yohanna.
That's right.
We're building up virtuous women to be virtuous sisters. That's what we do in the Isupk. Read on, Baruch Shah.
That it be that not alter, that Vashti come no more.
Salakia, verse 19. Yeah, read verse 19.
verse 19. Seven it up.
Come.
If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the law of the Persian and Mede, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus.
Okay, so this is a law for the Persian and the Medes. Remember, we keep reiterating this. This is not our law. These are not the laws of our records. These are laws that a heathen colonizer has made and put in his provinces. So we're Israelite brothers and sisters are scattered in some of these provinces, and we're having to live by these laws. And some of these laws might require us to be drunkards, to eat pork, to break the dietary law, the moral laws, the civil laws. The laws of these colonizers, the Persians, they're certainly teaching us to break our ceremonial laws, because here we are being a part of their feasts, which are absolutely nothing to do with us. You won't find them anywhere in our records. These records are for us, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, and nobody else. And we shouldn't be inheriting or hanging or picking up their traditions. Their traditions are vain to us. We have these records for a reason. Read on.
And let the king.
And let the who?
And let the king give a royal estate unto another that is better than her.
Okay, and let the king give her royal estate unto another that. So this is the advice the king is getting, yeah, to get rid of her. This is another thing that doesn't happen in Israel. You know, once you lay with a sister, sex is marriage in the Bible. Once you lay with a sister, it's a done deal. It's a done deal. She is your rib for life. She's your wife. And there's no putting her away. There's no such thing as divorce in the Bible. This is a law. This is a law. You can't just decide you've seen a skirt round the corner that you think is more attractive, and you keep it pushing. You keep it moving, and you forget about the last sister, and you move on to the next. That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen in here. It might happen in some of the fake Israelite groups, but it don't happen in here. Guaranteed. Read that again, Baba Kasha.
Esther 1 verse 19. If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persian and Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before the king Ahasuerus.
Okay, so he wants to swap her. Basically, he wants an exchange, like how we go to a car sale, a car lot, and part X our cars. He wants to do this with his wife, which shows you how confusing these heathen nations are. And their laws are nothing like ours. Their laws are not built on righteousness, because their laws are what? What are their laws? What are the heathens' laws they make up?
Vain.
They're vain, definitely vain.
Against our laws, if I could.
They're against our laws, but most of all, they're not ordained. They're not from the Most High God.
That's right.
Our records, our laws have come from somewhere, a higher power. They're not, our laws are not man-made. Our laws have come from our Father who art in heaven.
That's right.
That's where our laws have come from. And that's why our law is perfect. If we can study this, get it right, and keep these laws, statutes, and commandments in our records, we become perfect. There's no man-made law that could make us perfect. They're never going to be perfect. You see them warring against each other. committing all kinds of atrocities, diseases, famines. Does everybody get this? So lucky, you got something, sir. Did you have
No, no.
something? Okay, you're reading.
Sir.
God on, Khan. Do you know where we're at?
Yeah.
19. Khan. Read on, Bob.
Read on,
Pusher.
And if it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before the king Ahasuerus.
Okay, and what does that mean? That let Vashti come no more. Means he's going to put her away.
Right.
He's going to get rid of her. You know, like that old clapped out Nissan, that old clapped out Datsun Sunny.
Right.
That the wheels came off. The wheels came off. It's not even worth spending any money to fix this whip.
Right.
This whip's dead. It's been shot, stabbed, and poisoned to death.
That gasket's done.
Head gasket or every gasket missing.
Yeah, right.
Read on, Baba Kasha.
Yeah. And let the king give her and let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she.
Give her royal estate to another. So, and here's another thing that differs about us and the heathens. He's giving his queen, which we would never find in Israel. There's no queens in the Bible.
Right.
He's given his his wife a portion of the estate, which you find with the Windsor royal family today. You find with the English royal family, they give, even the women get a portion. Our sisters do not get a portion. They'll have everything. If the husband has 10 acres, that belongs to the family. Yes, he'll control it and he'll have the last say, but them 10 acres are the family's 10 acres. This is how we are in Israel. We don't separate the family by separating the portion of our heritage, our inheritance. We don't do that. Israel wasn't given to one tribe or two tribes. It was given to 12 tribes. And yes, the land was divided, and Ephraim lived here, and Benjamin lived here, and Manasseh had a piece of land, and Zebulun had a piece of land. But that wasn't to say that Judah couldn't go into Zebulun, and Zebulun couldn't go into Asher. We know from our records that Asherites married Levites. We know from our records that Naphtaliites married Issacharites. Within Israel, it wasn't just a thing where Judites married Judites, Benjamites married Benjamites, Reubenites married Reubenites. You didn't lose your inheritance or your bloodline if you married a sister or a brother from another tribe. You got something, other one?
Yeah. So basically, the thing, inheritance passed down through the male, through the man's name. So obviously, you being a Judite, you can marry any of the other tribes. That wouldn't deplete your land. That land wouldn't be like if a Levite came and married. It goes through the male, basically, right? So if it's a female, then she can't marry outside of her tribe. Right? If you have two sisters that was her. I was gonna touch on that after. Yeah, also.
Duada.
Since you're gonna touch.
No, Duada, you've done it now. You've done it. Yeah, so what the officer said, what Officer Tazapawan said was that the lineage is only passed on, the inheritance is only passed on through the loins of the man, which is correct. So the man, if a Judite married a Reubenite, all the kids would still have the inheritance of Judah. Okay, but if a Gadite woman married a Naphtaliite, she would lose, her children wouldn't have the inheritance of Naphtali. Her children would have the inheritance of Humoza. and Naphtali. Okay, so do we all understand this? The inheritance was through the loins of the father, according to our records. Read on, Baba Kashab, getting off subject a little bit.
Right.
Verse 20.
Now, Vashti,
No, verse 20. No, jump that, just go down to 20. Baba Kashab.
and when the king decreed, and when the king's decree, which he shall make, shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, and the wives shall give to their husbands honor, both to great and small.
And can anybody tell me what a decree is? What's a decree?
Decree is like a order. It's statute.
Okay, so a decree is a statute, exactly. It's a command or an order. Okay, so the king's made a decree here. Read that again, Baba Kashar, the one.
Yeah. And when the king's decree, which he shall make, be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, all the wives shall give to their husbands honor, both to great and small.
So the king was so pissed off with Vashti, his wife. Right. He made this a decree, he made it a law, an order, a command, that in all the land, in all his provinces, all 177 and 20, yeah, in all his provinces, he made a decree that the wife must honor their husband. So if the husband summoned you, you would honor whatever your husband told you. Do we all follow this? Okay, verse 21, Baba Kishore.
And the saying pleased the king.
This decree made the king happy. 22, Baba Kishore.
22. For he sent letters into all the kingdoms, provinces, into every province according to the writings thereof.
And this was no joke. This became a big thing to the king because he sent letters to all the provinces. That's what is it, 190 provinces? 127. No, 120 and 7. Yeah, 127 provinces. That's 127 lands or portions of land or nations. Okay, and he sent this decree through mail to every single one of them. Imagine that.
On horseback, yeah.
My God. Camel, horseback, donkey, right. Mule, jackass. Read on.
Yeah, 22 provinces thereof, and according to the writings thereof, and to every people after their language, that every man should bear rule in his own house, and that it should be published according to the language of every people.
Of every people, okay? So a lot of the provinces had different tongues, because they had different languages. That's why he had to do this. They didn't all speak Persian. They didn't all speak Amharic.
Yeah.
They didn't speak Arabic. You know, yeah, the Arabic, and they didn't speak Swahili, Twi, Dembele, right. Kush. They didn't speak none of these languages. I mean, they didn't speak one of these languages. They all had all the provinces spoke their own languages. Don't forget, these lands have been colonized by the Persians.
Right.
They've been colonized. So when Britain went out, the British Empire, and colonized certain lands, yeah, it took time for them to speak English, maybe 40, 50 years. A lot of these lands that the British and the Romans before the British and the Greeks, the ancient Greeks, the ancient Romans, they all invaded and colonized lands that already had their own languages. I mean, do you think the Nigerians that speak Igbo today and spoke their ancient African languages could speak English before the Brits went and colonized? Do you think the Togolese, or is it Togo? Who did the Portuguese colonize? It's one of them West African countries. Cameroon, do you think that they spoke French before the French landed there? No, they couldn't speak none of these languages. And that's exactly what verse 22 is touching on. Okay, all these provinces had different languages, different tongues. Okay, so the king had given writs. What's a writ? It's a written, a mail in these provinces' languages, and there's 127 provinces. Not to say there's 127 languages, because some of the provinces might have spoke the same languages, but there's a hell of a lot of work put into this, and this is of the king's doing. Read on.
Verse 2.
No,
Chapter 2,
verse 1.
Right. After these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vashti and what she had done, and what decreed against her. Then said the king, a king's servant that ministered unto him, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king.
Salakia, you stop. Can you go back and read verse 1 for me, other one?
Verse 1 of what?
Chapter 2, verse 1.
Yeah, that's what it was.
No, I thought you went into verse 2. Did you go into verse 2?
2.
Yeah, just read verse 1.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
You want me to read it again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of.
Esther 2 and 1. After these things, when the wrath of the king Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vashti and what she had done, and what was decreed against her.
Okay, when the king had calmed down and remembered what Vashti's rebellious nature, he remembered how rebellious she was, and the decree he had granted. This is what was on his mind. Okay, read the next verse, Baba Kishore.
Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king.
Okay, and who are the king's servants? Who are the king's servants that ministered to him?
Give me what?
The same advisors that he summoned in the first place, in the first chapter. Okay, these are his advisors. The works of the king began to look for a new young rib for him, a maiden. Okay, read on.
Yeah. And let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of the kingdom, of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan the palace.
Okay, so the officers of the palace, they go out and they start searching in Shushan. Remember where we said Shushan? Where is Shushan? Does anybody know what ancient Shushan is?
Yeah, Persia.
And what's Persia?
Iran.
What would we call it today?
Iran.
Iran. Come on. Read on.
Palace. And fair young virgins unto Shushan the palace, to the house of the women, unto the custody of Hegi.
Okay, so Hegi, the keeper of the palace. Yeah, Hegi's the keeper of the palace. Read on.
The king's chamberlain, keeper of the women, and let the things for purification be given them.
Okay, and what are the Hegi is the keeper of the women. So the officers are summoned. They go out and gather young, beautiful virgins, bring them back to the palace. Hegi is ordered to look after them and take care of them. She gives them all parcels, packages. She gives them what? What does she give them? What does Hegi give them?
Purification.
Purification. And
Sweet
that's the next question. What are the purifications? Chanel,
sweet,
Prada,
right?
Versace, all the smellies that the modern day woman loves. But back then, there'd have been oils and fragrances. Okay, probably closer to nature and flowers than the ones that are chemicaled up today. Read that again for me, Baba Kushar.
The whole 3 or
No, yeah, no,
Three?
just that part.
let their young virgins unto Shushan the palace, to the house of the women, unto the custody of Heki, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women, and let their things of purification be given them.
Okay, so these are beauty products,
Right.
what we call nowadays beauty products. Verse 4.
God. And let the maiden which please the king be queen instead of Vashti.
Instead of who?
Instead of Vashti.
Okay, so one of these females are about to walk into the shoes of Vashti, take over and be the new Vashti. She's out. She's ousted. She's gone. It's a done deal. Verse 5, Baba Kushar.
Verse 5. Now in Shushan the palace, where there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai.
A certain what?
A certain Jew.
A certain Jew named Mordecai. Read.
God, whose name was Mordecai, son of Jair, the son of Shemai, the son of Kish, a Benjamin.
A yardman. A bona fide yardie. Okay? Probably from Kingston Town. Read that again, Baba Kushar.
God. Now in Shushan the palace, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shemai, the son of Kish, a Benjamin.
A Benjamite. And where are the the reason we said yardies, where are the Benjamites today?
Yeah.
The tribe of Benjamin, the last born son of Jacob. Okay, you'll find these in the English-speaking islands in the Caribbean.
That's right.
The British colonized islands. Okay, Montserrat, Antigua, Barbados, Bermuda, Jamaica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Nevis, St. Kitts. I said Barbados. So on and so forth. Yardies.
That's right.
Bona fide yardies. Read on, Baba Kushar.
God, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away with Jeconiah, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, right, the king of Babylon had carried away.
Okay, so taken to Shushan in captivity from Jerusalem. From Jerusalem. This Benjamite had been taken with all the Benjamites, and not just Benjamites, other tribes. We can't say all 12 tribes because there's no records of this in the book of Esther. But it could have been 9 tribes, it could have been 6 tribes, it could have been all 12. Do we all follow this? Depends who was in Jerusalem in this era, in this time. But we know the Benjamites were there. We know the southern states. We know the Levites were there. Okay, read on, Baba Kushar.
And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful.
Esther was fair and beautiful. Again, fair does not mean like skinned.
Right.
Fair just means she was stunning to look at.
That's right.
Just like the sisters in Israel. Our women are stunning. Okay, so if Vashti was nice to look at, you can imagine how sweet and crisp Esther was. Esther is described as fair. She was absolutely stunning, and we're going to find out how beautiful this sister was. Read that again, Baba Kushar.
God, and he brought up Hadassah, and he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful.
And just so you know, Nebuchadnezzar was he was He was the king of where? He was the king of Babylon. He was the king of Babylon. Okay, and that's verse 7. Mordecai brought up Esther, who is his cousin. Okay, because it was his uncle's daughter, which means it was his cousin. But as we're going to find out, he was considerably older than Esther. Esther was a young virgin, never married. Okay, and Mordecai is raising her because why? Why is Mordecai raising her? Because both her parents have died. Both her parents have passed, deceased. Read on, Baba Kishar.
Yeah. Who Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter. So
there you go. Mordecai raised Esther. Esther was raised by Mordecai. He was her cousin, but she had grown up knowing him as a father.
Right.
Read on, Baba Kishar.
Yeah. So it came to pass when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan the palace, to the custody of Haggai, that Esther was brought also unto the king's house. Okay,
so Esther was brought to the palace with all the other potentials.
Right.
What's a potential?
You're going to choose between them and
a potential rib. Okay, so how many of them was there? Doesn't say, but there was a few. They was all brought to the king's palace for him to choose. No, your hood. So they was all brought to the palace with Esther to choose. And out of all the maidens, who do you think the king preferred? Not to say that some of the other sisters weren't Israel, but who do you think the king preferred? Read on. Read on.
Okay. That is, to the custody of a guy that Esther was brought also to the king's house, to the custody of a guy, the keeper of the women, and the maiden pleased him.
And what?
And the maiden pleased him.
And the maiden pleased him. So he wasn't disappointed when he laid eyes on her.
Right.
Do you understand this? He wasn't disappointed. Read on.
Yeah. And she obtained kindness of him, and he speedily gave her things for purification.
Can you imagine going on a blind date and on the journey to the blind date, imagining what the hell is this chick gonna look like?
Right.
How the hell is this chick gonna behave? I wonder if she's gonna be easy on the eye. I wonder if she's gonna dress like a whore.
Right.
I wonder if she's in flats or heels. I wonder how much makeup she wears.
Right.
I wonder if she's been to the salon and done her hair, her nails, her toes, her eyelashes. I wonder if she's got a shizzle together. All these things you'd be thinking if he was going on a blind date. Well, the king didn't know what to expect, and he's seen the best of the best in front of him.
Right.
And the best of the best was Esther in terms of looks. As we're going to find out, spiritually, she's a different level to these heathens. Okay, and this we're going to see and we're going to read in the book of Esther is how our sisters should be behaving and conducting themselves. Read on.
No. With such things as belong to her.
It's lucky. What verse we are? Come on.
With such things as belong to her, and 7 maidens, which were meet to be given her out of the king's house, and he preferred her and her maids unto the best place of the house of the women.
Okay, so the king preferred Esther. He's laid eyes on her for the first time, and to be honest, he's not really interested in the rest of the women. And some of them might have been sisters, and some of them might have been heathens. His pinnacle, his focal was on Esther. That's who his focus was on. He preferred her. He gave her all the beauty products that she would need to stay looking TT. She had all the oils clothes, all the equipment, all the shiznizzle to keep herself looking 10 out of 10. That's how he wanted her. The minute he laid eyes on Esther, read on, Baba Kishar.
Verse 10. Esther had not showed her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it.
Okay, so a father or a cousin, Mordecai, who was her stepfather, had ordered her something. He had ordered her. What had he ordered her to do when it talks about kindred? What's Mordecai told Esther to do? He's told her to keep her goddamn mouth shut. Why? Because us so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are hated. We're despised in this world. It's not just nowadays. It's not nowadays we've suffered police brutality, stop checks when they're not authorized or needed. It's not just now that the Chinaman wants to invade our countries and take over. It's not just now we've been envied. It's not just now we've brought about jealousy amongst the other nations. This is repeated itself throughout time. These are the heathen nations, and the oppressor is the top of that list, the top of that chart, the so-called white man. They've always hated us. They've always despised us and envied us and been jealous of us. They've always wanted what we've got. They've always wanted what they cannot have.
Right.
And what's that? The Spirit of the Most High God. Let's give it up for the Most High God, for allowing us to be here together, congregate, to be here together. And let's thank him for being here, being present in this room tonight, and allowing us to take part in his memorial, the feast of Purim. Okay, read on, Baba Kishar.
Yeah. And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house to know how Esther did and what should become of her.
Read that again, Baba Kishar.
Yeah. And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women.
What verse we in?
11.
Mordecai walked every day. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
So Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house to know how Esther did and what should become of her.
Okay, Mordecai walked every day. Jump down to verse. Let's jump down to verse 16, Baba Kishar.
God. So Esther was taken unto King Ahasuerus into his house royal in the 10th month, which is the month Tebet.
Okay, and I believe Tebet is January, February, the 10th month in the Hebrew calendar. In the Gregorian calendar, it would be around January, February. Read.
God, in the 7th year of his reign.
Okay, so Esther is taken into the king's royal house. Read on.
God, and the king loved Esther above all the women.
Okay, so this is where Vashti gets ousted. She's gone. It's over. It's a done deal. She gets replaced, exchanged. Part exchange deal, call it what you want. She's out, Esther's in. Read on, Baba Kishar.
And she obtained grace and favor in his sight, more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen.
And remember, Esther is an Israelite, so she's not really a queen. She's only a queen in the eyes of the heathen. Right. She'd never be a queen to us. Read on, Baba Kishar.
Yeah. And and made her queen instead of Vashti. Then the king made a great feast unto all his provinces and his servants.
What verse is that, Bob? 18. Come on.
And the king made a great feast unto all his provinces of his servants, even Esther's feast. And he made a release to the provinces and gave gifts according to the state of the king.
Okay, so Azorius starts throwing parties left and right. He starts throwing them all over the place. Feasts here, feasts there, feasts up in the air for fun. Read on.
And when the virgins were gathered together.
And when the what?
The virgins were gathered together.
Okay, so when the virgins were gathered together. Read.
The second time, then Mordecai sat in the king's gate. Esther had not yet showed her kindred nor her people, as Mordecai had charged her. For Esther did the commandment of Mordecai. Okay, so he's throwing parties left and right like his name's P. Diddy. You know what I mean? He's just throwing them just randomly anywhere. And of course, this is all the effect of him laying eyes upon an Israelite woman. It's not a heathen. He's laid his eyes upon an Israelite woman and he's turned fool. He's just turned into a foolish madman. Start throwing parties left and right. Read on. For Esther did the commandment of Mordecai, like as when she was brought up with him.
Read that again, Baba Kishore.
For Esther did the commandment of Mordecai, like as when she was brought up.
What verse is this?
20.
20. Read that again, Baba Kishore.
For Esther did the commandment of Mordecai, like as when she was brought up with him.
Okay, why? Because Esther is disciplined.
That's right.
She's a virtuous woman. She's got discipline. She does as her father ordains her to do, orders her to do. Read on. She hasn't got a rebellious bone in her body. She's nothing like this heathen Vashti. And that's why this woman, this heathen, got replaced by a sister in the first place. Read.
In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wroth and sought to lay hands on the king Ahasuerus.
There you go. Mordecai sat in the king's gate and he heard the whispers amongst these two glorified bouncers. These security that was supposed to be guarding the king, guarding the palace, and they're planning and plotting and scheming to murder him, to unalive the king. Read.
22. And the king was known, and the thing was known to Mordecai, who told it unto Esther, the queen.
Okay, so Mordecai heard their treason and their scheming, and he went and whispered it to Esther, who was now the king's rib. Read.
And Esther certified the king, thereof in Mordecai's name.
Okay, so Esther gets told, who tells the king, verifies she got the word from Mordecai. So the king knows this info came from Mordecai. Read.
And when the inquisition was made of the matter, it was found out. Therefore, they were both hanged on trees.
Okay, so these palace bouncers, who were really double agents, that's what they were. They were like spies. They was trying to kill the king. What would that be called nowadays? Treason. High treason. Punishable by. They was hung on a tree. Punishable by death. They was caught. There was an inquiry held. They was found guilty, and they was taken out into the hills, and they was hung from the treetops. They got their just rewards. Read on.
And it was written in the book of the Chronicles before the king.
Okay, what Chronicles book is this talking about? Is this talking about our records?
I think that's King Ahasuerus.
No, it's Azorius' Chronicles. So a king of any of the heathen nations will have a chronicles, records of his time in office. What is this? Of his time in office. These are their chronicles. These are the heathen chronicles. They're nothing to do with us. They're not in our records. Do we all follow this? Read on.
Chapter 3:1. After these things, did King Ahasuerus promoted Haman.
Okay, so after this, the king went out and raised up Haman. Haman's an Edomite. He's a so-called white boy. Read on.
The son of Amadatha.
The son of
Amadatha.
Read.
The Haggagah, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him.
So Haman overnight became in charge. He just have you ever been at work as an Israelite, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, and worked your butt off, worked your backside off for years, 2, 3, 4 years, and then just under the radar, some white boy flies in and takes the job you've been after. Half of your damn near adult life, he just walks straight in. First day on the job, he's your supervisor. You left scratching your head thinking, how the hell does this work? How the hell has this happened? I've given this Edomite 7 years of slavery for minimum wage with the promise of getting this supervisor's job, this managerial job. And this white boy just comes, walks in through the net, under the radar, and steals my position. That's rightfully my post. I know a lot of brothers have felt this. A lot of brothers and sisters have felt this. Read on.
It's like they're not going to ever give you the job anyway. They'll put like an interview for, to get one of them to take that position. Don't give it to us.
Can't.
There's 2. And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman.
So everyone bowed to Haman. Everyone was in awe of this so-called white man. Read.
For the king had so commanded.
Don't this sound familiar to today? How so many of our people are in awe of these people, these Edomites.
What do you mean, sir?
Well, look at the church, for example. Look at the 14th Amendment and our black pastors bringing us out of the slave trade, 1865. Look how we still want to love this guy, these people, and worship them. And all they've ever done is showed hatred towards us. They've never showed us any love. They've never given us a second chance. They've never thought of redeeming us or helping us in any way.
Or giving us any position.
Any leeway whatsoever. But we constantly want to forgive them. We constantly want to love them. We constantly want what they have. We constantly want to be part of the Chanel, Prada, Versace culture and everything else that they brought about. That is not good for our nation. It only brings about negativity and confusion. Read on.
For the king had commanded concerning him.
The king did what?
Commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not. Mordecai
refused to answer. He wanted nothing to do with this oppressor. Right. Read.
God. Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence. Then the king's servant, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai, why transgressest thou the king's commandment?
No, let's jump down to Let's jump down to verse. Jump down to verse.
Read on. Read on.
Hold on. What verse we are? Other one?
3 now.
Verse. Yeah, read verse 3. Yeah, read verse 3.
Yeah, just on 3.
Yeah, read verse
Read
4.
again.
Yeah.
4?
No, verse 4.
3. God, and the king
Hold
servant.
on. Can't. Read verse 3, Bob, for sure.
And the king's servant, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai, why transgresseth thou the king's commandment?
So these glorified bouncers, these gatemen, the security, they're asking Mordecai, why do you go against Haman? What is it? Read on.
God. Now it came to pass, when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Ammon to see whether Mordecai's matter would stand. For he had told them that he was a Jew.
Okay, because these gatemen, they get nothing from Mordecai. They don't get the answers that they're asking. He's not listening to them. He's not paying them any attention. Read that again.
Read it, the whole thing again.
No, just that part.
Just that bit. To see whether Mordecai's matter would stand. For he had not told them, for he had told them that he was a Jew.
So that's where he messed up. Mordecai told these two clowns that he was an Israelite. He gave them that vital information. Now what happened? Read on.
Yeah. And
Real quick. It's important. This part is important because Mordecai, right? The king made a commandment for everybody to bow down to this Haman, right? It's the king's commandments, decree, and all his promises. Everyone has to bow down to this prince, right? Mordecai did not. And why did he not bow down to the prince? Mordecai is keeping the law that the children of Israel, you cannot set any king above us who is not Israel. So Mordecai is not going to bow down to Haman because Haman is not no prince, no king, he ain't nothing to Mordecai. Right? That's why he told him that he was a Jew. You know, so that's in our laws. So we shouldn't look up to Keir Starmer or whatever, Donald Trump, whatever politician or monarch. We should look up to King Charles as he is a king. He is nothing to the children of Israel.
And that's a heavy point, Adwan, because we have to reiterate this, that these laws from Azorus are not recorded, they're not part of our records.
Right.
We have a separate law. Our law is holy. Our law is separate. Okay, these are laws of a colonizer, a heathen colonizer at that. And so you know exactly where Mordecai is coming from. If you're in the spirit of the Most High God, read on.
yeah. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath. And he saw scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had showed him the people of Mordecai.
Okay, so Haman's pissed. You can see clearly that he's pissed. He's not in play mode. He's gunning for Mordecai now from this moment on. He's a man that already hates the Jews. And this is nothing new. We've seen this throughout time. The white man hates his blacks, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and native Indians. We've always been hated. This is nothing new. But Haman took a particular dislike to Mordecai. Why? Because Mordecai wouldn't bow. He wouldn't fold before him. Read on.
Yeah. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy the Jews where dwelt the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai.
Read that again, Baba Kishore.
Yeah. Wherefore Haman,
What verse is this?
6 and 3 and 6.
Go on. And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai. You got it, other one.
Wherefore Haman sought to destroy Oh, you want me to read from that bit?
No, that's okay. Read on.
Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews.
To destroy who?
All the Jews.
No, just the Benjamites.
All the Jews.
To destroy every last one of them. This is genocide. This is the real genocide. This ain't the fake Holocaust of 1942 in West and East Germany. This is the real genocide. And this has been happening to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians throughout time. This has been periodical. Read on.
God. For Jews. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai. In the first month, that is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of the king Ahasuerus, they cast Pur. That is the lot. And
let's not forget, Mordecai had gave a command to his daughter Esther. He had told her, "Do not give these heathen your inheritance. Don't tell them your bloodline." Maybe he should have took his own advice. Do we all follow this? Maybe he should have listened to his own theories and his own order to his daughter, to his stepdaughter. Then he wouldn't have been in this pickle. They would have found out eventually, but they didn't. They wouldn't have known on the time. These gatemen wouldn't have been able to go and snitch on him. Do we all follow this?
No.
They wouldn't have said the decree to kill all the Jews if they didn't know he was a Jew.
That being my point.
They want him to make reference, right? Oh, yeah, doing that right there.
They would have allowed him to
But they wouldn't have known he was a Jew at that moment. Yeah. Read on, Bobby Kishore.
In the first month, that is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus.
So King Ahasuerus has been in power for 12 years. Read.
They cast Pur, that is the lot, before Haman from day to day, and from month to month, to the 12th month, that is the month Adar.
Okay, jump down, read on.
Let's see. Down to
Come. Oh, time's gone. Where are we? Chapter 4, what? Chapter which? My God. Go and read 8 and we'll wrap it up.
And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all the people, neither keep they the king's law. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them.
Okay, and so we're going to wrap it up now, but you can see from verse 8, this scheming little dog, Haman, is trying to plant that seed in the king's head.
Right.
Yeah, that we are rebellious people and we need to be dealt with. Okay, but with that, we're going to wrap it up, clap it up. We're going to finish off with 9 chapters tomorrow night. Okay, so the second part of the Feast of Purim, and we'll finish up with the story of Esther tomorrow night. Okay, Captain said the officer Dungabar said he wanted the Lord's Prayer, but I don't know.
I'm Madiam. Let's give the teacher one courtesy salute. Men of Israel, I'm Madiam. I'm Madiam Shabbat. I'm Madiam. Barak. Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shabrakatah.
Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shabrakatah.
Yad Yamatah. Sa. Sisters. I'm Madiam. I'm Madiam Shabbat. I'm Madiam. Barak. Yahweh Shabbat. Yad Yamatah. Let's read the Lord's Prayer.
Should have done the Lord's Prayer first.
Abinawa.
Salakia, Sar, turn and face the east. Wrong way, guys.
The Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abinawa.
Abinawa.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Kodash.
Kodash.
Hayah.
Hayah.
Shamka.
Shamka.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Malakwata. Taba'ah.
Taba'ah.
Ratazaka.
Ratazaka.
Hayah.
Hayah.
Aisha.
Aisha.
Ba'aratazah.
Ba'aratazah.
Kawa.
Kawa.
Hayah.
Hayah.
Bashemayim.
Bashemayim.
Nathanawa.
Nathanawa.
Nakam.
Nacham.
Kal.
Kal.
Yawam.
Yawam.
Wasalakna.
Wasalatanawa.
Kawabwatna.
Kawabwatnawa.
Kasalakna.
Kasalatnawa.
Kawabwatyana.
Kawabwatyanawa.
Wala'a.
Wala'a.
Sabayanawa.
Sabayanawa.
Banasaya 1.
Banasaya 1.
Abal.
Abal.
Hawashina.
Awashayanawa.
Mayan.
Mayan.
Rai.
Rai.
Kaya.
Kaya.
Laka.
Laka.
Hamalakwa.
Amalakwa.
Waha'ala.
Waha'ala.
Wahata Pa'ara.
Waha'ala.
Wa'aywalamya.
Wa'aywalamya.
Amen.
Amen.
In English, our Father,
Our Father,
which art in heaven,
which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done.
Thine will be done
In earth
in earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day.
Give us this day
our daily bread.
our daily bread,
And forgive us our debts.
and forgive us our debts,
As we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not
And lead us not
into temptation.
into temptation,
But deliver us
but deliver us
from evil.
from evil.
For thine is the kingdom.
For thine is the kingdom,
And the power.
and the power,
And the glory.
and the glory,
Forever.
forever.
So be it.
So be it.
Sign Christ.
Second, yeah.